voice of reason. All right, well, listen, we're going to go out to Spain because we're going to talk about Luis Diaz, and Rob Dorset, our football correspondent, is there. So, Rob, what is the latest on Diaz?
Well, it's a significant headline, Mike, isn't it? Liverpool, we understand, have rejected an approach from Barcelona for Luis Diaz. And I've been talking to some of the Spanish media out here and some Spanish contacts, and they've made it pretty clear to me that Barcelona aren't easily giving up on this one. He's been a long-term target for them and remains so. They really want a left attacking player on that left wing, and Diaz fits the bill perfectly for them. Plays wide left, scores goals, creates chances, and I think he's got that flair and personality that Barcelona think would fit well into their side. But pretty clearly Liverpool don't want to engage on this discussion at the moment. As far as they're concerned, Diaz is not for sale. He's still got 2 years left on his contract though, and that's what's really interesting for me, because I think it's getting to decision time for Liverpool. They won't want him to go into the final year of his contract because we've just seen what's happened with Trent Alexander-Arnold and the possibility for him leaving for nothing. They won't want that to happen for Diaz, even though he's 28 now. So they're going to have to start renegotiating with him on a new contract if they want him to stay. But Diaz is also on the radar of Al Nassr in the Saudi Pro League. He was at Nottingham Forest as well. I don't think either of those are going to happen for him. I can't see Liverpool selling to those. But I've been asking some of my Spanish contacts out here, why did Barca want Luis Diaz? Bear in mind they've got Robert Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Dani Olmo in those attacking positions. It's arguably the best attacking four in the world football right now. And it's been explained to me that crucially none of those play wide left, and that's what they're after. And that's what Diaz offers. But if they can't get him from Liverpool, if that is an absolute no-go, then they're going to have to look elsewhere. And my sources over here are saying to me that Marcus Rashford is still very much on Barcelona's radar. Wages may be a problem for Barcelona to pay in terms of Marcus Rashford. So would Manchester United consider another loan deal for Marcus Rashford to try and reduce some of those wages? I think that's much later in the window if we get to a discussion about that. And then there's Nico Williams, who's another option for Barcelona, wide left. He's at Athletic Club, of course. Now, he's got an achievable release clause, believed to be about £55 million. But again, he's on huge wages, which I'm being told might be beyond what Barcelona can afford to do. And Williams has said himself that he wants to stay in Bilbao because they've got Champions League football next season and he wants to be part of that. So at the moment, Barcelona, the huge club that they are, aren't having a lot of joy with trying to get a left-sided attacker. And the latest news we've heard today is that they've had an approach for Liverpool's Diaz turned down. So we'll see whether they can try and pursue that one, because at the moment Liverpool aren't engaging on it at all. Yeah,
I want to stick with Luis Diaz, Rob. So I know that he's spoken today. What's he had to say?
Well, listen to this, Mike, 'cause I think this is interesting. We know there's rules within football that clubs can't approach players or even their representatives to discuss deals if those players are already under contract somewhere else, unless they're in their final year of the contract and it gets to January, etc., etc. Well, he talks pretty openly about this, Luis Diaz. Let's show you what he said. He says, crucially, I'm very, very happy in Liverpool. There's no anything to doubt there. He says, from day one, they've made me feel very welcome. Right now, we're in contact with them because we're speaking with other clubs. He means him and his own representatives there. He says that's normal, the market is open and we're trying to sort out what's best for us. I'm just waiting to see what happens. If Liverpool doesn't make a good offer, I still have 2 years left with them. I would be happy and content to stay there, and that's it. Everything depends on them, obviously, but it's up to me to decide what's best for us and the future. So I think there's a little bit of ambiguity there in what Luis Diaz has had to say. I don't know how Liverpool will feel about those comments that he's made, but at the moment, Liverpool's position is very, very clear. They don't want to sell Luis Diaz. They simply don't want to engage with Barcelona or anybody else about an issue that might involve him moving away from Anfield.
Rob, I know you're going to stay with us throughout the programme, but for the moment, thanks ever so much. Carve, let's talk Diaz then. 2 years on his contract. Are we at the situation where he either gets a new contract or he leaves?
I mean, that's the way it normally works in football. A club as big as Liverpool with an asset like Luis Diaz, you don't want to get into a situation where he's running down his contract. Having said that, we've seen Liverpool with the situation with Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold this season. They managed to get pretty close to the end of their contracts and they kept hold of Salah and Virgil van Dijk. I think the Luis Diaz situation is a bit of a complicated one. I think there's lots of different ways of looking at it, because what we were told about a month ago was that his representatives were going to sit down with Liverpool after the season ended to talk about the possibility of a contract extension. But I'm not sure that's the way Liverpool see it. I think perhaps Liverpool see it as a case of he's got 2 years left on his contract, he's playing well, he's a Liverpool player, let's see you for pre-season. But obviously, behind the scenes, I think the situation is that he's not one of the highest paid players at Liverpool. Perhaps he feels he's been left behind when other players are getting new contracts. And in the back of his mind, of course, he's got this enticing prospect of playing for Barcelona. So perhaps that is what his representatives are trying to do, keep all their options open. And if there's a possibility of going to Barcelona and Liverpool get a great offer, who knows, they may consider it, especially if they're considering making even more changes to their forward options.
Well, on that, Florian Wirtz, we know Liverpool want him. Does it make sense for them then to get rid of Luis Diaz?
It doesn't make sense to lose a player that's essentially a first-team starter before they've got a replacement in. I think Liverpool are quite relaxed in this situation. They're never going to attack the window and say, yeah, he's for sale, we don't want him, he's available. Because straight away the buying club will say, well, OK, they don't really value him that highly, so therefore we can go in with a low offer. Whereas if Liverpool have the stance of, no, this is a player that's a key part of our first team. We see him as a big member of this Liverpool squad moving forward. So therefore, we would reluctantly listen to offers. Straight away, those buying clubs know, well, actually, we can't go in with a low ball offer because of the noises that Liverpool have made. In terms of the Florian Wirtz deal, this is a huge deal. I know a lot of Liverpool fans are saying, well, on social media, I saw last week that it was all done and dusted. It was going to be 48 hours. It was going to happen. And yet here we are, probably, 6-7 days into this window and probably 3 or 4 weeks into this conversation, and still nothing's happened. Talks continue with Bayer Leverkusen. He's still very much on their radar. The key thing is the player is desperate to join Liverpool. He's made the right noises. So it's just a case of finding a little bit of common ground between what Bayer Leverkusen want, which we understand to be 150 million euros. Last offer was, which we think was about 130. So there's not a huge gap, but that conversation continues.
So Liverpool working on Wirtz. We know they're working on Kerkez. How close is that one, Mark?
Do you know what? My phone just went off. So, no, nothing more in terms of detail there.
Hello to your mum for me, though.
No, that wasn't my mum. That was a contact that may provide some information there. My mum loves you. You know that, Mike.
Well, she's a good judge.
So, no developments there. Again, this is a very similar situation. Carve said it in the show at 5 o'clock. People are expecting things to happen overnight. These are big deals. These are complex deals. We know that Liverpool are interested in Milos Kerkez, but as of about 30 seconds ago, no formal contact to Bournemouth at this stage. So you'd have to say that whilst there is interest, at the moment, it remains interest.
OK, all right.
Indumentaria, la Kings Limited Gold Edition, solo hay 50 unidades de todos los equipos y también puede ser vuestra entrando en kingsleague.pro, así que es los datos a tener en cuenta en cuanto a indumentarias. Gran partido, Gonzalo, Gerard, el que tenemos por delante.
Ojo, estilo La Bombonera, estadio de River.
Hostia, más minutos de retraso en el inicio, ¿eh? Ya tenemos lío.
Lo llamó Edo, dibujando la parábola sobre la banda derecha, donde en el vértice del área aparece Nadir. ¡Nadir para adentro! ¡Gol! De Nadir Lua, que tiene una facilidad pasmosa. Encuentra a Pablo, que balón para Nadir para el segundo. Se tafa de Cócera, es un golazo. ¡Es un golazo! Señoras, señores, bienvenidos al show de Nadir Lua. Pibe.
El mejor.
Vamos
haciendo espionaje, ¿eh?
Vaya mierda ha dado, pibe. Va, ya te puedes ir a la cúpula a comer, va.
Tiene que salir Cócera para entregar hacia el centro. Se la regala Coy, le puede pegar Coy para adentro.
Vaya chicha, nano.
¡Gol! De porcinos Óscar Coy. Ah, pues sí.
Tony, tienes brazalete volante.
Pero es que, señores,
Que no te lo dije, no.
Tenemos comodín. ¿Cómo lo usamos? Penalti.
penalti.
Venga, será penalti.
Vamos, Cuni.
Puede meter.
A meter en el partido a Cuni. Jordi para adentro, qué golazo.
¡Guau!
¡Dios!
¡Gol!
Eso, dale.
Vamos con Nadir Luay, con Laura Vizcaíno.
Pues sí, Nadir, 2 goles, victoria y a cuartos, enhorabuena.
Sí, sabíamos que el partido iba a ser muy importante porque veníamos de una muy mala dinámica. El equipo ha estado bien, sufríamos defensivamente y creo que hemos estado muy juntitos. Y nada, primer objetivo cumplido.
Os espera Science, rival complicado, imagino.
Sí, empatamos contra ellos y en shootout
Así
perdimos. Ha quedado segundo por algo. Nada, concentración, confianza con nosotros mismos y intentar ganar para el sábado estar en el Wizzing.
Os lo veremos mañana, mucha suerte.